It's time for a Star Wars book review. If you saw one of my recent book hauls, I did a Star Wars book haul, so I'm going to review a couple of the books from that haul. First up is Scoundrels by Zahn. Really enjoyed this book a lot. It's very different than a normal Star Wars book. So I say if you're really not into reading sci-fi novels, this might be a Star Wars book you might enjoy because I would compare it very much to the plot of Ocean's 11. This book is written by Zahn, and it's set between the action of Star Wars: A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. And it's really focusing on Han Solo, Chewbacca, and Lando Calrissian. They're kind of the main characters of the story. And basically at this point of the action, Han really hasn't become a full part of the rebellion yet. So he's kind of went back to being a smuggler, and he's got hired for a job by somebody. Very much in the line of, kind of think of Ocean's 11 through 13 of those plots. But basically, this individual's father was killed and ran out of business by this very shady criminal organization, and he has hired Han to kind of get back and kind of strike revenge. And they're going to do this by basically stealing a massive amount of money and basically ruining the criminal organization. So it's kind of very much, like I said, that kind of Ocean's 11 thing where Han Solo then assembles a team of his criminal friends from around the galaxy into this, kind of perfect team, this dream team, to pull off this heist. Very much, like I said, Ocean's 11 style. So really it's kind of the Ocean's 11 style plot, but then you throw in stuff like, alien creatures and, technology and stuff like that. So it's an interesting spin on a Star Wars book like this. It doesn't read like a typical sci-fi novel. It's more like a, criminal style storyline, true crime, like kind of feel into it. Han Solo is such a great character, and him and Lando really drives the action in this book. And there's such great interaction between those two characters, just like in the movies, that I really enjoyed this book a lot. It's one of my favorite Star Wars books I've read in the past few years. So I really enjoyed Scoundrels by Zahn. So if you enjoy Star Wars books, I would say definitely don't miss this one. And if you don't typically enjoy sci-fi novels, this might be a Star Wars book you might want to give a try, especially if you enjoy Ocean's 11. The next up, I wanted to talk about Crucible by Troy Denny. Crucible is set many decades after their action Return of the Jedi. If you can see the cover, you can kind of tell that by how old Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, and Leia look on the cover. Again, this is a little bit different plot line than your typical Star Wars book. Instead of being more of the sci-fi action adventure, this one has an element of corporate espionage. And basically, Lando Calrissian is again another character in this book. A rival corporation is trying to run Lando basically out of business, and they're trying to seize a specific asset that Lando controls. And this kind of drags in Han and Leia as Lando asks them to help him out with this situation, and that in turn kind of drags Luke into the situation. So you get a lot of, kind of behind-the-scenes corporate dealings. So instead of, some evil group trying to take over the galaxy by military means, you're instead facing a group that's trying to take over the galaxy by taking over the economy. So the villains are very different than your normal Star Wars villain, which I found very interesting. They were very intelligent villains, and because of how they were trying to go about their goal of doing it through economic means instead of military means, they are very much, I guess a breath of fresh air in the category of Star Wars villains, because they were doing everything completely different because of their methods of going after the economy instead of going after it through military means, like is typically the case in Star Wars. I also really enjoyed this book a lot because really the entire book is nearly completely focused on Han, Leia, and Luke. And in the Star Wars book, especially the ones that are set well after the Return of the Jedi, those three characters are always in it, but there's always the book characters, the characters who weren't in the movies. And it was kind of refreshing to get a book that just kind of focused on Han, Leia, and Luke again. So it almost felt like you were kind of going back to the movies and, hey, this is how they did it, in Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, all those, of the original trilogy. So, very good book. I enjoyed it a lot. Not quite as much as Scoundrels, but I really did enjoy it a lot. This is a standalone book. It's not part of a series, so you can read it and it's one and done. So, I enjoyed it a lot, so I'd encourage you to check it out. And the good thing is it doesn't really reference too much stuff from earlier books. So if you haven't read many Star Wars books, you can read this one and you won't really be lost by the plot. So that's Crucible by Troy Denny, and as I mentioned earlier, you got Scoundrels by Timothy Zahn. I both highly recommend these two Star Wars books. Hope you enjoyed this review, and I'll see you the next time.